You know, I've been around a lot of areas. This is my hometown, I like to say, Allentown, Pennsylvania. My family owns a farm in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania, though, but most of my time's in Allentown. But I like to say area unknown because I've been all around. So
okay.
That's just how I like to say it.
How did you get into MMA?
MMA was one of those things, when it first came out, you know, I just looked at it and I said, you know, you have that like moment in life where you said, yeah, this is something that, you know, I feel really compelled to, something that I know I would be good at through the life experiences I've had, you know, because I was an athlete always growing up, but I always fought on the street. That was one of my things because I didn't know how to control my emotions, control my anger, so to act out. And that's how the majority of my childhood growing up was. But, you know, I realized, you know, when this opportunity came along to fight in the cage, MMA, you know, that it could change my life. I no longer had to act out and do these sorts of things.
What sorts of things?
You know, just acting out, bro. You know, like most of us struggle with in life because we all have struggles, whether it's sex, food, violence, drugs, whatever it may be. We all have a vice in life. No one, I believe, goes unscathed. And for me, you know, it was violence, you know, drugs, acting out, sexual frustration with promiscuity, which most men have trouble with. But through sports, you know, like especially when MMA came out, it gave me the ability to, you know, have a different outlet. That and God, you know, became a big focus in my life, and it absolutely changed my perspective on what life's about. You know, a tough guy, you know, we get this interpretation a lot of times. The definition of a tough guy is someone who, you know, beats people up in the street, you know, gets lots of women, acts out and everything, but my whole definition's changed about what a man is. I no longer have to do those things. A man is someone who controls their emotions.
What's your favorite strike submission to use in any fight?
My favorite strike and submission, I haven't hit it yet, but you know, I want to hit it soon. It's the Superman punch. I like the name, and I like to come up and fake my knee and come across with the two. With the two combo. That's my favorite. Or of course the rear naked choke that I like to duck and come right in and finish the guy quickly. You know, those are my two favorite. But any move that finishes the fight's my favorite in the fight. Yeah. I just want to get out of it before the ending, you know?
Who is your biggest inspiration and why?
Of course, besides God, you know, my biggest inspiration in my life recently, he's been a man named Father Killian. He actually is the pastor at Holy Ghost Church. This man has helped change my life in ways that I could never imagine. He's helped me see the good in people again. Because, you know, most time in life, like when you ask people, what's your issue, what's your struggle, and we all say, you know, I just don't trust people. You know, I don't trust people because, you know, it's like, and that's one of the greatest sins in life because we don't trust people in the fear of what they might do to us, the fear of what we might do to one another. And he's helped me find love again, love for myself most importantly, because it's like that's another one we all ask ourselves, you know, am I doomed to walk the rest of my life in search of love? Does this person next to me really love me? You know, and at the end of the day, it comes down to, you know, still loving regardless if that person loves you back, because that's why I believe, you know, Jesus came, that's why he did came. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean they have to love you back, and that's the struggle in life. You know, just because you give to someone else doesn't mean they have to give back to you. But what do? You got to give anyway, because then otherwise you're the one wrestling with your conscience. You let the world rape you, and now you're becoming something that you're not. So, you know, you're not staying true to yourself, and that's the greatest sin in life as well. You know, because that's what it's about. The hardest struggle in life is not being something you're not, it's in being who you are. And that's what this man taught me. I used to hate looking myself in the mirror. I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I just want to break the glass. You know, especially after the things, after drugs were gone, women were gone, all these things were gone, all these materialistic things. I didn't know who I was. I sat there crying, you know, in a place as cold as the Antarctica. You know, felt my life crash as fast as an avalanche, and my dreams dissipating between my fingers like sand. I sat there crying like a boy, not knowing who I was. You know, and I had to recreate myself. I had to find out who I was. I'd ask myself, Adam, who really are you? And along the way, you know, after a little bit of time in, this man, Father Killian, who didn't have to, took me underneath his wing and taught me what life was all about. And this is just what I believe. Other people might have other things in life which work for them. They might not believe in God. They might do this, but at the end of the day, for me, it's about living a life of love. And that's what he's taught me to do again. And I can't think of enough. When I think about him, it gives tears in my eyes. One of those guys, like, I enjoy being around. And that's what one of my goals have become as well. You know, when you go around people, help them feel up, not down.
Which team are you training with in preparation for your next battle?
My next fight, I train with a lot of different places, a lot of different teams. My main one's going to be AMA Fight Club at Jersey, which is Mike Constantino, which has another guy that I'd like to look up to, Jim Miller, who's got Fight of the Night twice in the UFC, and he's just one of those great guys to watch. And what I love about him is he doesn't go out there for anybody but, you know, himself, God, and his family, I believe. He's a guy who just goes off in the woods and can hunt, and that's what I like to do. I'm a nature guy. I like to bark, like, that's what I do, like, in the woods. I'll go and bark, and that's, you know, how I am.
The nature boy.
You know, yeah. So it's him, you know, in American Top Team. I'll go around my buddy Dave Hamilton, who his brother trained Bernard Hopkins, who, you know, really pushes me, yeah.
Bernard Hopkins is my favorite boxer, hands down.
One of mine, too. You
know,
one of my things, yep. He did 7 years in Graterford as well, bro, or 3 years. 3 to 7 years in Graterford along there. Changed his life, and his last fight became the oldest fighter to have the title. 48 years old, and you know what it was about to him? The message, and that's why I like him so much, because it was about a message. It wasn't about the fame, it wasn't about anything else. It was about a message, you know, about believing, and that's what he did.
Do you like to stand with your opponents or take them to the ground?
Recently it's been taken to the ground. That's one of my habits I have to break because I come from a wrestling background, but last fight I stood with the guy a lot more, but this fight I'm looking to stand the majority of the fight, because, you know, if you want to do something you never did, you have to you know, go and do something you never done. That means, you know, you have to change your habits. And it's hard because in life we always go back to what we know best. So that's why you see people that are drug addicts, people that are criminals, people that are burglars, people that are you know, this is what they know their whole life, so they go back to what they know best. And I've known wrestling most of my life, so that's what I use most of the time, but that's not what's going to get me to the next level.
In this next fight, do you feel you're going to have to take him to the ground, or you're going to have to stand it out?
I'm going to have to stand up with him. I'm going to have to do both. Because, you know, the most dangerous fighter is a guy that you can't, you know, predict what he's going to do. And lately I've become too much of a one-sided fighter. I've become too much of a fighter that you can predict what I'm going to do. And that's why I lost, you know, one of my fights. Because the guy knew. He knew I was going to keep shooting. So you have to be able to switch it up. It's a master chess game. You got to be able to, you know, do things, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves ahead of the guy. And so I'm going to look to stand with the guy because no one's expecting that.
And this is a grudge match, right?
Yes. This is a huge fight in my career, you know.
Would you say the biggest fight of your career?
Yep. Up to this far, this is the biggest fight in my career, but every fight after this is going to be the same. I say that, you know, every fight pretty much is. You know, if you look at it, if you're a great fighter, you got to take every fight one fight at a time. But this one means a lot to me because this guy beat me back when I was a sophomore in high school by 2 points to go to states. And it was one of those ones where I lost faith in myself because growing up, you know, up to 8th grade, nobody could beat me. I was undefeated, ran through people most of the time. And somewhere along the way, it's like when you're a little kid, you know, when you get up to the plate for the first time, you know, none can stop you. When you're going off to school with your new lunchbox, you're walking up on the bus, saying bye to mom if you got one, you know, none can stop you. You're in class, whatever it is, at a little age, like you have that belief in yourself, like you're just carefree, you know, you don't care what the world thinks. But somewhere along the way, I lost that, man. I stopped believing in myself, and that's what this fight is about to me. It's getting that belief back, going back and redefining myself, making a new spot in time, because you can't ever go back and make a brand new beginning. I know what's done and done, but you know, I can go back and make a brand new ending and finish this chapter of my life and walk out how I want to walk out. And that's what this fight is to me.
What does it mean for you to be a fighter?
For me to be a fighter, bro, it means so much to me because I'm just grateful to God that I can fight. Because you see, I get to fight in the cage, you know, for 9 minutes, 15 minutes, for a little bit. But you see, people every single day are fighting for their life. This kid, Adam Recchi, that walks out with me, he's got a very rare disease, he's dying. He's fighting every minute for his life. When you see old people in the hospital, hooked up to machines, they're fighting every second for their life. You know, I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I get to step in the cage after all this and, you know, get to go out and do what, you know, I believe God's made me to do. So, you know, That's what it is for me, bro.
So it means a lot to you, of course.
It means the world, bro, because I get to go back and, you know, show others too, to lead by example. Because that's the thing I've realized in my life, bro. You can't change anyone around you. The only thing you can change is yourself.
What holes do you see in your fighter's opponent's game?
Holes, I see many holes. I see very psychological holes. I see many different things in his game that I'm going to utilize and use to my advantage. You know, there's holes in everybody's game, of course, because there's no perfect fighter. So it's a matter of going out there and executing them. But it's not so much the matter of what holes are in his game. It's a matter of me just going out there and knowing and doing what I know how to do, executing my game plan. Because when you worry about what the other fighter's going to do, you don't fight up to your game plan. And what happens is you already lost. It's like letting someone get in your head. If they get in your head, you already lost because they're running space in your head and taking away from what you should be doing and what you're meant to be doing. So, you know, and that's how I look at it.
What separates you from every other fighter in your division?
What separates me, I would like to say and like to believe.
In your division?
In my division, just in most fighters, I'm like a Manny Pacquiao. I'm like a, you know, Bernard Hopkins. I'm like a Fedor Emelianenko. I'm like all these guys that fight with heart. Other guys out there, you know, whether you see that just goes out there to fight. The kid that just won the Ultimate Fighter reality show. You know, they're in it not just for fighting. They're in it for the deeper things in life. You know, and that's what it's about to me. Fighting is going to come to an end someday. And like I said before about crying when I didn't know who I was after, you know, the drugs and all these things were gone, the money and everything. It's the same with fighting. If I just identify myself as a fighter and it's the only facet in my life, what happens after it's gone is I don't know who I am anymore. You know, what separates me is my spirituality and my faith in God from most fighters, and realizing that this is just one moment in time. You know, this isn't my whole life. And you know, the true measure of success, like from one of the songs I always like to listen to, is by how many people you bless. And that's life, bro. You know, it's about how many people you bless along the way. And that's what separates me. I'm not just out there to fight. I'm out there to fight for life.
If you could have one dream fight, anybody, who would it be?
One dream fight? If I could have one dream fight, of course, I would, you know, it would be a fairy tale ending. It would be something made up in my head where I fought a guy like David versus Goliath, where I got to go against a guy who was just superior to me in every single aspect in life, was the biggest fighter ever. No one had believed I could win, but it was just me and God, and I went out there and, you know, I stung him with my own stone, but in a different way. Stung him with my punches and everything else that I like to call stone, and end up beating a guy that no one thought I could beat, but most importantly, beat him with faith, you know, because I had the heart to go out there and I believed in myself, because we all have our own Goliaths in life, and it's a matter of getting past them and facing that fear, because it's the only way you grow. You know, it's like we're all meant to be eagles in life, but so many of us stay chickens because we stay around the same people doing the same thing, stay in the same chicken yard squawking like a chicken, thinking we're a chicken, but we're really an eagle. And it takes us, you know, a lot of times in life for another eagle to come down and be like, what are you doing? Why are you hanging out with chickens? But then we're like, eagle, please don't eat me, you know, please don't hurt me, let me go back. And the other eagle will reply to us, I'm not going to eat you. So if I run back to the rest of the chickens, you'll let me? Yeah. So we run back to the rest of the chickens, we hang around these same people, they congratulate us, say good job, they gossip and everything else. But then one day we see an eagle that's not afraid, that flies off into the storm. And what happens is we look back and we see all the same people in the yard crying, gossiping, squawking about all their problems. And we're like, we're not like that. And we look at them, and what happens is we fly into the sky, into the storm, into different altitudes. And that's what it is, bro. We're all meant to become an eagle.
What do you want to be remembered for at the end of your career?
At the end of my career, bro, I'd say more than the end of my life. That's what I said about fighting is a small facet of my life. I don't want to be remembered as a great fighter. I don't want to be remembered as a great speaker. I want to be remembered as a great any of these things that I'm pursuing in my career. What I want to be remembered as is just a great man, bro. Just a good Samaritan. A guy who did the next right thing and helped out who he could. live the life of God, because, I want people, because what I believe, God lives inside of us, and if you're a Christian, you believe God dwells, we're made in the image of God, that means He dwells inside of us. I want people to feel that presence. When they look, they say, that man was filled with the Holy Spirit. He was a heck of a man. He helped out who he could. He lived for what he believed in, This is just what works for me, And that's how I want to live life, do on others as you have done unto you, which is, the greatest spiritual principle, which is in most religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Muslim, Catholicism, and Hinduism. And that's how I want to live my life. It's about living a life of love. And that's what I want to be remembered as. Just a great man, Good man.
Let me know when you get time.
I'm at war with the world and they try to pull me in